Tonight we're going to make a holiday swag, and I'd like to show you some samples. My name is Marie Caminaris. I'm a florist and an artist and a jack of many trades. So this is one of the holiday swags that I have made. And this one is a little bit on the larger side. It has some red berries and pine cones and a pretty red ribbon. We also made a little smaller swag, which I have here to show you. Okay, so here's the smaller swag that we have. And you could really make these any size to fit on your door or your wall. They're a really nice decoration for the winter season and for the holiday season. So with that, let's get started to make one of these. And there's a few things that you're going to need to make these holiday swags. You need a wire cutter. You'll need pruning shears, and you'll need some spool wire. I have a 24-inch gauge spool wire. I like to use some gloves to protect my hands from the sap of the greens, but if you get sap on your hands, not to worry, because you can take the sap off your hands with a little paper towel and some vegetable oil, and then just rub your hands with that and it comes right off. You may also want some ribbon for the top, some pine cones. You could even use some silk flowers, some real berries, some silk berries. I have some ribbon here. I have some pine cones, different shapes of pine cones, different sizes. I also have some plastic or silk fruit, some little bit of fake berries. You can certainly use real berries. The fake berries won't fall off the way the real berries will. So that's always a nice added fact with the fake berries. You can also use some silk greens, and you can even make this with silk greens or some silk sprays. I love magnolia leaves. I love the brown that's on the other side of the leaves. So you can incorporate some silk if you can't get the real. It's a wonderful addition to the swag. So what you're going to do is go in your yard and you will pick various branches of different greens. You can use balsam fir, white pine, incense cedar, boxwood. You can use Leland cypress, arborvitae, any number of different things that you enjoy. And as long as they're evergreen, I think that's all that is really important there. You can use ivy. You can also use some white branches or natural branches if you prefer. So that's what we're going to start with. Starting with a branch. It's usually a pretty big branch, and you'll need to cut this branch down. So what I'd like to do is just get my little clippers and just cut down some pieces here. And that's what we'll go ahead and do. And then I'll show you the next step. So we'll cut this down. And this lead piece looks like a really nice piece to hold on to save. So I'm going to cut that nice and long. So the swag basically has the shape of a triangle. And I'm going to get some pine to work with. I have some pine here of branches that I've already cut down. And I've also went ahead and cut some more pieces of the balsam down. What you're going to do is you're going to look for some of these nice lead pieces. And by that I mean a piece that comes up nice and straight and tall, with maybe a few on the sides, and you'll build from this. And what are we building? We're building little clusters, little bundles, and we're going to, you could always cut them shorter. So we'll make a couple of long ones and a couple of smaller ones. And I always like to mix in different greens. So I have some white pine here, and I have some of the balsam that I'm going to be making into a bundle. And I do have one bundle made already. This one was made with some juniper and some balsam. So you'll see what a bundle is a couple of branches put together and wired at the end. And how we do that is very simply just like this. We'll take our spool wire and we will unroll a pretty decent amount of length, maybe about 18 inches here. And then I'm gathering some of my greens and I'm alternating just any way that makes you happy of how you're going to put this together. I've got some pieces of balsam and I've got some pieces of pine here together. You can make it as full as you like or as lean as you like. It doesn't matter because it's all going to come together in the end. We're going to build on each little bundle. So here's this piece, and I'm holding tightly where I want it to stay together with my fingers on the stem. I have a good amount of stem here too, which is something important that you'll need. I'll take my wire and I'm going to hold on to the wire with my left hand because I'm a righty. And with my right hand, I'm going to wrap the wire around while pulling tautly so that this bundle stays in place. When I'm done with that, and be careful not to wire in your gloves if that's what you're wearing. And then I'll take my wire cutters and I'll cut the wire. So I have this one bundle already complete. See that? So I'm going to go ahead and make a couple more bundles for you here. I'm going to use this piece and some of these other pieces. And I'm just putting together some branches of balsam. And I'm sticking in just a few little, just for a variety of different greens. Some white pine that I have on this one. I also have some Leland cypress that I picked from my garden earlier today. So I'm going to be making a bundle with the Leland cypress. And here again, I'm just holding it, putting the wire around and pulling tautly so it stays in place. Now I'm going around at least 3 or 4 times so I know that that is secure.
We did have a question that came in, Marie.
Yeah.
Should the branches be cut at an angle?
No, they don't have to be cut at an angle, not this, because this is not going into water. This is going to be something that's, you're going to be hanging. So we have that one done. And let's do one more here with my Leland cypress. Take a little piece of the Leland cypress and a little piece of white pine. I think that looks pretty all together. And there's no right or wrong of how you put this together. You just want to make sure that you are doing a triangular type of shape, that it holds together roughly. It doesn't have to be a perfect triangle, but the tip is longer than the sides. And We put that together with some wire. Just holding it in place and wiring. Now, all of this is also going to get wired together to each other. And I'll show you that in just a minute. I think I'll do just one more to show you. We have 3 so far. Another piece of my Leland cypress, some white pine. You will see that. Now I'm going to take my spool wire. I am going to wrap pretty tightly and make sure that it's secure. So if you were to tug on this a little bit, it's not going to be coming apart on you. Okay. So I've got 4 pieces made, and I think that's good enough to put together to show you how to do the swag. So let's give it a try. You could always add singular pieces to it if you want it to be a little bit bigger on the sides or whatever. You don't have to always add to your swag with a bundle. But anyway, let's see what we can put together with this. All right. So here's some loose pieces. And here's my bundle pieces. Now I'm going to take a look at these bundle pieces and see which one is my longest piece. And it would be this one here. And what I'm going to do is take this with the point away from you. You'll hold on to the branch part, and you're going to take another bundle piece and put it basically alongside and a little overlapping. So I'll show you that again. Alongside and a little overlapping. See? So you have that nice fullness. And I do it on top of my existing piece, not behind, because we want it to be nice and big and fluffy, and that really makes it that way. So you have to decide, do you want this to go towards the left or towards the right? And I think it works best towards this side. So now where I have this and where I'm holding it, I'm going to take my wire once again, and I'm going to secure it. And I'm not cutting any of these end pieces off yet at all. I'm just going to wrap this around and wrap and pull and wrap and pull. And I've got it pretty secure. So that's 2 pieces together. Now we have another piece here. I'm going to put that on this side. See? Now you see it, now you don't. So here we're going to put it on this side, and I'm holding it down, and I'm going to secure it very tightly. Just keep going around with my spool wire very tightly. Okay. Now I have one more piece that I made here I don't know if I really even need it, to tell you the truth. I think it's fine without it, but I think I just need a little something right in this spot. So I'll go for my smaller pieces that I cut, my individual smaller pieces. I've just got a few that I put in my hand like this, and I'm just going to lay them right here to fill in that one side gap and just keep going around again a few more times. Okay, there we go. So now at this point, I still have my spool wire attached. I'm still pulling it nice and tightly. At this point, I'm going to add a hook. So what I'm going to do is turn it over, and with my spool wire, I'm going to make a loop. I don't know if you can see this, but I will show you as best I can. I'm making just a plain simple loop here in the back. I'm going to hold it down in place, and I'm going to wrap once again. Just keep wrapping. So I'm actually wrapping down this loop that I'm making. I think I need to put on my, oh, here it is. Okay, now this was my beginning wire here. I'm going to just put that through the loop and wrap that beginning wire around a couple of times. Okay, and a couple more times with the spool wire around that loop to really secure it in place.
Does it matter what color wire you use? Are you using a green wire or just a silver?
I am. I'm using a dark green wire,
Okay.
a dark green florist 24 gauge wire. So now I'm putting that, I just snipped my spool wire and I'm putting the end into that loop, kind of to make like a knot. And now you know that loop is going nowhere. It's staying right in place. Here we go. It will not go anywhere. Okay. Now at this point in this web, some people like to decorate it at this point, and they like to put a bow and some ribbon, and they like to leave the stems showing just like this. I don't really like to do that, so I'm going to show you how to make a more finished top. There's nothing wrong with leaving it that way. It's very beautiful, but I just prefer, it's just a matter of preference, and I prefer a more finished top. So we're going to hide this top with another small little bundle and wrap that bundle around the stem. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. This one we don't need. This was an extra one and we didn't really need it. We can always use it for something else. So we'll put that aside and we'll just take some small pieces, just some very small pieces, and put them together. I'll take a little pine as well, just some small pieces of pine. Something like this. It's very little. And then take the spool wire and treat it just like all the other little bundles. And you're going to wrap it and pull and wrap and pull. Now don't cut the spool wire at this point. You're going to take this little bundle that you made here and you're going to lay it right side up, the pointy side facing upwards onto your main piece, just like this. And then we're going to wrap the spool wire around once again. Make sure that you're not, wrapping the loop, that you still have that loop in place. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm doing here. I'm wrapping it and pulling. Your arms get a good workout with this. Just wrap and pull. Okay. I think it's good. And now I'll take my wire cutter and I am going to snip off my spool wire, and I'm going to take it through one of the wires that I've wrapped around and just make like a knot with it, because I really like when things are extra secure. I'll even go around a couple of times that way, just to make sure it's going nowhere. And there you go. So if you can see that, we've got the wire loop here, the hanging right there. And we have all the hardware, all the stems in the back. You won't see that. You'll just see this. So now it's time to decorate it. And you can decorate it any way you like. I'm going to show you how to make a bow for that. And we'll put a bow on it. So I'll take my gloves off now, clear my table a little bit, and show you how I make a bow. This is a foolproof way to make a bow. It's not hard, but you do need to have strong fingers for pinching. So I have this very pretty ribbon. I think that will look really nice on the swag. And I'll take whatever length. I did have my scissors here. I don't see them right now. Okay, let me just grab my scissors. I see where they are. I'll be right there with my scissors. Sorry about that. Okay, so take a piece of wire, it could be your spool wire, about 18 inches in length, or a little less is fine too. And then you're going to take your ribbon and you make a little tail, however long that you like it. If you like it very long, I don't like it too long for this swag because I don't want it to overpower the swag. So maybe about there is fine. And you'll pinch the ribbon with your thumb and your index finger. I'm a righty, so I'm using my left hand to pinch. Then I'm making a loop and I'm pinching that ribbon between those same two fingers again. And then I'm going to the other side, making another loop and pinching between the two fingers once again. And I'll repeat this another couple of times until I have maybe like a 3 loop on each side kind of bow. So I'll show you this real close. I'm making a loop and I'm pinching it between my thumb and my pointer finger on my left hand. Let's do that one more time on the left and one more time on the right. And then I'll bring that piece of ribbon down to the front. Okay, now I'm going to take my wire. I haven't cut the ribbon yet, but I'm going to take my wire and go around everything to the back. And I'm going to pull it really tight. When I'm pulling it, now I can let go with my 2 fingers and just grab this part just to hold it in place while I twist the wire just as close on that ribbon as possible, right down in there. That's what makes it nice and perky. Once I've done that, I can let go. I've got my bow made, and I can go ahead and cut my tail. You can either go on the diagonal to cut your tail, or if you prefer, you could fold your ribbon in half. And then when you cut on a diagonal this way, you get that pretty little tail. I think I'll do that on this side too to even it up now.
So that that is not wired ribbon, or is it wired ribbon? Is there any wire?
This is wired ribbon, but
Okay.
the same will work in any ribbon with that method of making a bow.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got my ribbon made, my bow made. I'm just gonna fluff up my loops. Bring my tail down a little bit. And there's the bow. So I can attach that now to my swag. And I'm going to attach it right where this part came in. So let's just put the bow right there. And very easily just attach the ribbon, pull the wire in the back, and twist it around a few times to secure it. And then you could snip off any excess that you have. And there you go. You have a nice ribbon on your swag. So now, if you wanted to decorate your swag with some pine cones, what you can do is you can take some wire, cut a small piece of wire, wrap it around some of the little parts of the bottom of the pine cone and twist it. And then you can just put that anywhere on your swag. Just wrap that wire around, and you can bring it that down as far down or as high as you like. So I'll put a few pine cones on so you can see that. And I'm just taking, I went ahead earlier and I put the wire around the pine cones, around the bottom, and you just twist it. You don't need much wire, but I've got that in place. You can take these pine cones. If you don't like them natural, you can frost them. You can put a little bit of gold on them. You could put the fake snow on them. However you like to decorate it. Okay, here's one that I didn't do. So I'll take some of the wire. It's about 6 inches. And I'm just going to put it around the bottom here and just twist it. And then it'll stay in place. See? And then when you're putting your pine cones on, or if you're putting branches or whatever, I always like to use odd numbers. I think that that just looks better. So I have 5 pine cones on this. And maybe we want to put a little berries on it. We can do that. I have some berries here. And you can either wire the berries in, or if the berries have a long enough stem, you can try jamming it through some of the stems of your piece, and it may stay for you like I have here. And that's really all there is to the swag. They're very easy to make. They make beautiful gifts. They smell absolutely wonderful, and they look so pretty on your door or on your wall of your house. And now the thing is, you've made this beautiful creation, and there are a lot of little pieces that you have left over, and you may even have some larger pieces. And what I would recommend that you do with that, with the smaller pieces, you can put them into a pretty glass, a wine glass that you've decorated for the holidays, and make a small centerpiece out of that. And wouldn't you know, I have that to show you. So let me get that to show you as well. So I have.
And just so the participants know, you can unmute yourself at this point if you would, like to ask for anything. Oh, very pretty. And I'm thinking you painted the glass, the wine glass
Yeah.
too.
So this is a wine glass that I painted for the holidays, and these were the small pieces that I had. That this is just in some water, and it will stay really lovely. I have this in my bathroom, which makes the bathroom smell so nice too. So another thing I wanted to show you with the centerpieces is lots of times if you're going to have a holiday dinner and you want to set the table and you want it to be pretty with candles and everything, you might want to make a beautiful centerpiece with a candle. But what happens to your candle once you've made your centerpiece? It just disappears or gets lost into the centerpiece. So I wanted to show you one of my little tricks of making a centerpiece where the candle stays really high and really nice. So we'll put this away and we'll.
Can we just ask a question about the swag? How do you keep
Sure.
it from getting too dry? Do you have to water it at all, or what are your suggestions for keeping it looking fresh as long as possible?
So the same things that they sell for the Christmas tree, the anti-desiccant sprays, also the nurseries have it for your outdoor greens. The anti-desiccant spray is wonderful for these swag pieces. You could even keep it in a cool spot. If you have it hanging outside and it's raining, it's already getting watered. If you have it hanging inside, you may want to take it and put it in your garage and sprinkle some water on it. And just so it gets a little bit of moisture to it, it gets a little water, it stays a little fresher. And of course, before you hang it up, you want it to be, not wet while you're hanging it up, so it doesn't ruin your wall. But the anti-desiccant spray works really well for that. And that's what I would recommend to have it last a little longer. I have mine stored outside, and it's been fine. I have it rained on, it's fine. And this little guy, I just bring him to the sink and get the sprayer and spray it every once in a while, so it stays nice and fresh and perky looking.
And where do they sell that spray that you're talking about? Is that at a hardware store, or where would you purchase that kind of
You
thing?
can find that. You should be able to find it at the big box stores. You should also be able to find it in the nurseries, because it's something that you might want to use on your evergreens outside. If you're in a windy location, sometimes in the winter, the evergreens will get windburn. And the anti-desiccant spray, what it does is it places like a very thin layer of wax over the foliage, so it keeps the moisture in. It's like moisturizer for your greens.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you one more thing. So I have here I wanted to show you, I have a piece of Oasis. That's what you would need to use for any kind of fresh flower arrangement. And I have it soaked already. I secured it to my plate, my dish, with a couple of pieces of tape. And I have my candle. And this is one of the little tricks. I'll put my candle on here. And I have a beautiful hurricane glass too, which I've put around here, around the candle, right? And I just press it down to make a mark. And if you're a little bit nervous about doing an arrangement with glass and you know, moving it around, because you have to move your arrangement around and around. But if you're a little nervous with that, you can take it out and you can make your arrangement that way. So I did try and get a little head start to show you. So this was just for my backyard. I picked some branches of pine and I put it around. And this Oasis is what's bringing the candle up. So your candle is not going to get lost in your piece. And you'll keep everything just high enough to hide the Oasis that the candle is sitting on. So what you're going to do with all those little extra smaller pieces that you have, and a couple of bigger ones too, you can just cut them with your snippers, your little clippers, your little snippers, and you'll get a few pieces together that you've cut. And what I want to show you with this is you really should get a knife for this part. A florist knife is really handy for this. But anyway, so we have a couple of pieces here. And I've clipped them off. And what I'm going to do is take my knife. Now here's where you can get into like angling the branch, but I'm taking off the bottom little needles because I want something that looks like this when it goes into the Oasis. It'll stay more secure and it won't rip the Oasis apart. So you can use a regular paring knife for this if you don't have a florist knife, but I'm just taking the bottom needles off. And if you don't have a florist knife and you're afraid of using a paring knife altogether, you can actually just rip them off with your fingers. It'll just take you a little longer. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just taking these little ends off. And then I'm going to angle this greens when I put it in so it looks graceful, like how it's growing. I'm just going to put a slight angle downward. See? Just a very slight angle downward. And then as I go higher, I can just raise that a little bit. And you move your piece as you do. You don't really need much greens at all. You just move your piece all around as you're working it. Smaller pieces higher, larger pieces lower. And if you have pieces like this where the little nub is showing, you want to hide that underneath something. You don't see it. See? I'll just do a couple more and we'll be really like done with it. I have some pieces from the arborvitae here. Might be nice to put in. Okay. one more big piece. And leave some room for some decorations and ribbon on that as well. But in no time at all, you can make a beautiful centerpiece for your home just by using the little scraps that you have left over from your swag, or just from going outside and picking some greens that you have outside, some ivy and some other little branches that you might have. And there you go.
Beautiful.
Now, does anyone have any questions?
Let's see if we've got any. I'm unmuting everybody if anybody wants, anybody has a question. But I'm not seeing that anybody has any questions. And that was lovely. We have 3 for the price of 1. You can do your little table arrangement, have your centerpiece as well as your swag.
And I'll show you one more. If you don't have a large candle and you have a skinny candle and a taller vase, you can do the same thing with the small pieces. I don't know, can you see the top of the candle? Let me just raise.
Not quite, we can't see the top, no. Now we can, yes.
Okay. So here we did the same thing. We took some of the smaller pieces, put a piece of oasis into this vase, stuck a candle in, and that's for the kitchen table. This is for the dining room table, and we have one for the bathroom. And we have a swag for the door. Where's our little swag? Here's our swag. There we go.
Very pretty, and I'm sure it smells wonderful in there with.
Yeah, it smells great in here.
All right, well, we thank you very much, Marie. Let me just check one more time and see if we have any questions that came in that I missed. We did put up the her suggested supply list in the messages. And just one more time, if you will just tell us what kind of wire was that you were using?
Right, we'll go over this one more time.
Just
So what I used was a wire cutter, and I used a spool wire, and this was a 24-inch gauge. It has a pretty sturdy, you want something with a little bit of strength to it, not too thin, because you don't want to have it like too weak. When you're wrapping it around those stems, you want something that's going to hold up very well. So this is a 24 gauge Florist spool wire, but a 23-inch gauge, 23 gauge would work just as well as the 24. I have my florist knife for when I was taking the needles off the ends of the stem, a scissor to cut the ribbon, and just this, with this one spool wire, I use this wire to wrap around the swag that we made here. I also use the wire to make the ribbon. I also use the wire to go around the pine cones. And like I said, you can put, depending on what they have beautiful plastic Christmas balls. You can put Christmas balls on here, just depending on how, do you want to go natural looking? Do you want to go, country looking? Do you want to go really fancy? You can always take the pine cones and you can put a little glitter glue on them, and you can glitter them with gold or silver or the fake snow, or you can paint them white with the children. It's a really easy project to do, and it's a nice family project because when you're with your children at home, they can help you make the bundles, they can help you with smaller type centerpieces like this one to make for grandma. I'm sure she'd love that, because who knows who we're gonna see for this pandemic and getting together. But this is soothing for the soul and something that keeps us healthy and safe while we're also having a little bit of fun.
All right. Well, I'm getting a bunch of compliments for your beautiful presentation tonight, Marie, and thank you very, very much. We're looking forward to, if we didn't do it tonight, we're looking forward to giving this a try and sharing it with our friends and family. Thank you so
Great.
much, and be safe, and have a very happy holiday, everyone.
Yes, stay healthy and safe, and thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Okay, I look forward to talking to you further, Marie. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye.